Everybody, this is Shylor, and tonight we're going to be looking at something called Normalize. It's a library that you can download from the internet, and it's a CSS. Pretty much what it is it's a CSS file that you can download, and what its job is to do is to normalize your CSS. Now you're probably thinking, what does this mean? Well, the problem is with CSS is that each browser interprets CSS differently from the start. So, for instance, Chrome, Edge, and Firefox might think that font size needs to be different. So Chrome might have a font size of 14, Firefox could have 12, and Edge could have 16. So that doesn't seem like a problem too much until you start looking at the fact of size on your page and stuff like that. And what will happen is that your code will be the same on all three browsers, but because of these initial CSS rules, it will cause things to be in different places, and it will cause things to break and stuff like that. So one of the goals is to normalize your CSS right away. It's like the first thing you want to do. Some libraries out there will do that for you. They have it built in for you, but in our case, since we're just doing raw CSS, we don't have that ability. So what we need to do is we need to find a library that will do this for us. So there's a really popular one called Normalize, and in order to get it, all you have to do is you just search Google for Normalize. As you can see up here, you'll get search results like this, and all you want to do is go to this github.io one, and go to it. I'll ask you to download. This one's 4.1.1, so I'll go ahead and click on it, and pretty much you'll just get this huge file of CSS, and this is all CSS. If you want to try reading through it, you'll see some things. You might learn some tricks from this, all sorts of things. This is what CSS looks like kind of in a done process. So what we need to do is I'm just going to hit Control S. I'm going to navigate to my WAMP server www.ShyU. I'm going to go into my assets CSS, and I'm just going to save normalize.css. Now that we have this saved, hope I have a Java update. Now that we have this saved, sorry, we don't need that anymore. But in our index.html and our about, we need to now link the normalize. Now, like I said, it's very important to understand that I got a lot of updates. It's very important to realize that the order matters. I talked about that in the first CSS course or lesson, but in this case we really need to be careful with this because Normalize does a lot of CSS fixes. So in this case we want Normalize to load before we load the master in, because we're going to use master to overwrite anything that Normalize might do that we don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to paste it, and then I'm just going to change this to Normalize, because as you can see it's right in here in the same folder, so it's in assets CSS and then Normalize. And when I save this, you'll see that instantly we saw some changes. The font changed to a standard font, the sizing changed. Our master CSS is still doing some things with colors and stuff like that, but you can see that some things kind of adjusted. Now don't worry about fonts or anything like that. You can choose those and decide those later, but Normalize will set all of these to the same font size, same colors, same padding and border and margin. We'll look into those soon. But this is what Normalize does. Now, if we go to the About page, you'll see that it's back to the same, so what we need to do is copy this to all of our pages that we have the header. So we'll go ahead and place this on top of the master. And it's really important. If you put this below, sometimes the changes you make in master won't work, because Normalize will be overwriting those. So for instance, in master, if you change the font to another font and Normalize is below it, your font won't show up because Normalize is also setting the font. So make sure you Normalize this first. This will make sure that there's a standard between all browsers, Firefox, Chrome, Opera, whatever, and it will help you so that way you don't have to deal with this later. You don't want to do all your CSS and then put normalize in later, because you'll end up causing more problems. All of a sudden all your hard work will break, things will move, and so you really want to make sure that you put normalize in as the first thing you do when you're starting CSS. Now, there are other libraries out there that you can use for normalizing. Normalize is just a popular one. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but if you just search for normalizing CSS, I'm sure you'll find a few. And then if you read through that, you can kind of learn how to make your own. If you want to do that, it's up to you. So that's all for this video, and in the next video we will look at more of designing out our own styles, so we can start actually making this look even more like a website instead of just doing some colors and font sizes. So I hope this video helps. If it does, be sure to check out discord.ShyUniversity.com and let me know what you think of the videos.